Good morning, everyone. I'm Wen Tongshu from Beihang University. It's a great honor to give the presentation here. Today, I'll introduce our paper, Negotiate User-to-Group Teleportations in Social VR. In social virtual reality, locomotion and interaction of multi-users groups are critical components. With the evolution of metaverse platforms, safeguarding group spatial integrity has become important. While traditional teleportation enhances navigation efficiency, it could easily cause unintended intrusion, threatening group privacy and security. Our latest work is about teleportation and group navigation. The top left is our previous work, which introduced 3 negotiated teleportation techniques designed to secure user-to-user teleportation and protect personal space privacy. The bottom left explored collaborative teleportation for users who are initially far apart. Meanwhile, group navigation remains a classic topic. The top right work proposed several formation adjustment methods that adapt to members' placements. However, how an individual user can teleport into existing groups remains largely unexplored. Although our previous work addressed user-to-user negotiated teleportation, it still suffers from several limitations. On the one hand, the framework doesn't support repeated negotiation well. On the other hand, the design only works for 2 people. The interaction pattern is ill-suited for the teleportation into the group. These limits lead us to build a new method for joining a group by teleportation. So, this is the question: how to teleport into a group without invading their group space? To address these risks, we proposed negotiated user-to-group teleportations. In this paper, we have introduced and evaluated 2 novel negotiated user-to-group teleportation techniques paired with dynamic zone computation methods. And we further developed a comprehensive and continuous negotiation process, which facilitates users to negotiate teleportation locations efficiently and smoothly. In our previous study, the personal space of the host user in the social VR is conceptualized as a circular area. Drawing from established division of personal space, we have delineated it for teleportation into 4 distinct zones. The public zone allows guest users to teleport without any limitation. The notified zone triggers a notification to the host user upon the guest user's teleportation attempt. And the negotiable zone bridges the transition from social to personal. When people gather into a group, multiple individual spaces together form the group space. The negotiable zone of the group space needs to be computed from each member's personal space and the group formation. How we compute the group space is the key to the negotiated teleportation. Taking into account the group shape and the members' personal spaces, we propose 2 methods for computing negotiable zone: a formation method and geometric inclusion method. In real world, people tend to adopt specific spatial formations during social activities. Building on this priority, a formations method uses the boundary of the group formation to represent the negotiable zone. In geometric inclusion method, we calculate the negotiable zones as the smallest convex core that encloses the negotiable zones of personal spaces for all group members. Building upon our previous framework, we further developed a comprehensive and continuous process for negotiated teleportation in the social VR environment. The process is designed to enable negotiation for teleportation between an external guest and the leader within the group space, facilitating the establishment of negotiation relationships, the allocation of responsibility and control rights after solving potential conflicts. alternating negotiation of the teleportation location, and the complication of the teleportation process. Based on the computation methods and following our negotiation process, we have designed two negotiate user-to-group teleportation techniques: formation negotiation and area negotiation. With our technique, groups follow a leader-based model, where a group leader manages the entire group. Furthermore, we employ negotiation visualization to support the negotiation process. The formation negotiation relies on the F-formation computation method. The guest and the leader will follow the negotiation process to select the teleportation location on the boundary of this group. When both the leader and the guest accept the teleportation target location, the guest will teleport to that location. The area negotiation relies on the geometric inclusion computation method. Within the negotiation zone, the guest and the leader can negotiate the location and the radius of a circular area, thereby determining a teleportation permitted area for the guest. When both parts accept, the guest can perform a single teleportation to this area. To comprehensively evaluate the two negotiation teleportation techniques, we conduct a multi-user VR experiment in a VR museum environment involving a 5-member group and a guest. Participants were divided into trios, each assuming the roles of leader, member, and the guest. They were required to complete group collaborative social tour tasks at several locations. The group will exhibit one of the 4 formations: circle, side by side, horseshoe, and grid, matching an appropriate formation based on the surrounding environment. The experiment compared a total of 4 techniques, including our 2 negotiation techniques: formation negotiation and area negotiation, and 2 non-negotiation techniques: the traditional teleportation and the group formation readjustment. Readjustment allows the leader to adjust the location of the entire group after the guest teleports. Compared to the traditional and the readjustment, our technique offers a more equitable, flexible, and dynamic capability for user negotiation. This is the box plot result of role perspective data, including preference, embodiment, and personal space invasion anxiety level. Our negotiation method was significantly more favored by users, with area negotiation being the most preferred. The highest score of embodiment indicated the efficacy in enhancing users' control over the spaces and the locations. The result of PSIAL also shows that negotiation techniques offer equally effective protection for users of all roles. The overall perspective data analysis shows that our negotiation technique significantly outperformed the non-negotiation techniques in terms of effectiveness, usability, and social presence. After the interview, we found that the majority of participants have a clear preference for area negotiation and formation negotiation due to the efficiency of formation and the extensive range of negotiable options of area. However, the extensive negotiable content is a double-edged sword. Some participants voiced concern about the boundary restriction in formation negotiation, and others feel uncomfortable with the uncertainty caused by the extensive negotiable content in area negotiation. Our work also has limitations. All negotiable zones computation methods may not completely capture the dynamic and multifaceted nature in virtual environments. We didn't account for scenarios in the group without a leader. Our future research will explore the dynamic changes in group space and examine how member location and interactions will influence group space. Looking ahead, we hope that research on negotiable teleportation will continue to tackle existing challenges, ultimately contributing to the creation of a safer, more efficient, and more comfortable interaction and locomotion experience for social VR users. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for the talk. Do we have any questions from the audience? I will ask one while people get thinking. I'm curious if you have, excuse me. I'm curious if you have thought about ways to visualize the user who is coming into the group, ways to visualize that transition, that if this will have any effect on the group's feelings of the person entering the group. I'm just thinking about how the teleportation is sort of an abrupt change. So even though you negotiate the location that they show up, they still appear rather abruptly. So I'm just curious, you have thought about that transition phase.
So you mean the visualization of the teleportation?
Yes.
Okay. In our experiment, you can see this video. We visualize the teleportation line and the position of this teleportation, but we didn't visualize the avatar. I think the visualization of the negotiated teleportation is also very important content in the future research. So maybe different type and different avatar visualization will affect people's like feelings and privacy and safety. So how to find the balance between the privacy and visualization, I think is very important in the future research.
Cool. Thank you. Cool.
Thank you for interesting talk. I'm just wondering because I have a feeling that in, let's say, typical real life situation, you don't have any leader that really makes you space. You just make it by approaching the group, and then the group members move away to give you space. Wouldn't be this possible in virtual reality? Like make a surrounding of the group that you cannot teleport to at all, and then you just teleport close to the group, and then probably groups will make you space anyway. Would it be possible, or there are some fundamental reasons why such solution wouldn't be possible?
Oh, thank you. I think there's two type of the technical design. When a guest teleport to a group, we should consider about whether the group members' position should be changed. In our technique, after the guest teleportation, others members' position will not be changed after the teleport. In the technique we compared with the group formation adjustment, after the guest teleportation, the leader will change all members' position to a better formation. We found that many members will dislike to change their position without their permission. So I think if we need to change others' position, we need to find a new way to negotiate, like in non-leader model-based group.
Okay, unfortunately, we will have to move on to the next talk. Let's thank our speaker again.
Thank you.
Hello, Jie. And today I will introduce our work footporting, exploring foot-based teleportation techniques for seated users in confined spaces. And as is well known, teleportation is well used in VR locomotion. Usually, teleportation is controlled by our hands or controller. But previous study found the movement always is a secondary task. There is a catch. Using your hands for teleportation can interfere with other main tasks. This is where foot-based input comes in. Previous study found that when your hands are occupied by other tasks, foot-based input can reduce task completion time by up to 17%, and also could help to keep height stabilized. That means which can maintain spatial orientation and reduce motion sickness risk. However, in our real life, people are often seated in confined spaces, like at a desk or in public transportation, see the picture. That means user cannot move freely. Forward movement is blocked by the desk panels or the wall. Backward movement is restricted by the chairs, and even side-to-side movements are limited. That means for seated posture, we need to carefully coordinate both feet to handle all actions involved in teleportation. In our work, we come up two research questions about foot-based teleportation in confined space. The first question is, which foot gestures are specialized, feasible, and coordinatively understandable for actions involved in teleportation when sitting in confined environments? The second question is, how can both feet be coordinated to support all the actions needed in teleportation under spatial and postural constraints? Next, I'd like to talk about how we design the foot-based teleportation in VR when users seated in confined space. First, we investigate the physical constraints of the real world. Most constrained space, such as airplane economy seats, office or library chairs, has about 30 to 40 centimeter forward legroom, 25 to 30 centimeter vertical foot clearance, and limited backward legroom depend on the chair's type. Lateral movements also be restricted depend on the weight of chairs and the nearby objects. We also found there are possible, in this situation, there are possible foot gestures, foot lifting, foot rotation, and slight leg movements. Previous study also found people prefer the dominant foot to conduct some actions, and the non-dominant foot maybe keep the body balance. During the design, we also need to carefully handle the actions to consider the fatigue, such as mental fatigue and physical fatigue. Target selection-based teleportation is always need 4 actions: start, direction input, distance input, and confirmation. And based on the previous findings, we then try to map the possible gesture to the main 4 actions. For direction input, we adopt a cross-to-fan strategy. We totally designed 2 input methods. These 2 pictures show the first input method. First, user give a forward or backward intention by leg movements or foot lifter. Then they can maintain the direction by foot movements of the lifter. The next 2 pictures shows another method. This is a 3x3 grid interface. User can step into a seal to pick a direction and then rotate their foot to maintain the direction in the seal. For distant input, foot lifting and rotation are both possible. For activation and confirmation actions, we consider two possible gestures, foot lifter and leg movement. We also use the two mechanisms, user-maintained mechanism and system-maintained mechanism. We also introduce two supporting features. First is the rear view mirror for backward teleportation, as user cannot freely rotate their body in sitting position, especially in flexed seats. Next is a viewpoint adjustment mechanism, as there are limited foot reach and visible black spots. See the left picture, the gray areas. So with a viewpoint adjustment mechanism, user can slightly move their foot to left or right to turn the viewpoint. Combine our findings and some designs, we totally proposed 7 possible teleportation techniques. This page shows the 3 techniques, semi-foot port, asemi-foot port, and leg semi-foot port. These 3 teleportation techniques mainly consider 3 aspects. First, user prefers the dominant foot. Second, user often alternately and symmetrically use both foot. Third, using different gestures for different actions are easy to distinguish for users. Inspired by driver, who mainly use the right foot to perform most actions, we designed the right foot port and leg right foot port. The last 2 teleportation techniques are leg grid asemi port and leg grid semi port. They are used 3x3 grid interface. Next, we conduct a user study to test the performance of all the 7 teleportation techniques. We conduct a within subject user study. In each condition, participants need to teleportate 2 packages randomly placed around them in S direction. See the left picture. We evaluate with task completion time, usability, workload, and social acceptability. This page shows our results. Our results shows that grid-based techniques were the most accurate, especially in forward right direction and left direction and overall performance. While the right foot center techniques were performed by people with driving experience. Overall participants found the foot-based teleportation socially acceptable for especially in public settings. Based on all the findings and our results, we summarized the 3 design recommendations. The first is prioritize horizontal foot movements because backward movements and forward back movements are more likely to be blocked by the chairs. Secondly, take into account both natural motion tendency and learned foot habits. Third is we need to consider use leg movement for secondary or complementary actions if there are enough movements. It will help us to distribute the workload to leg and potentially improve the performance without other fatigue. That's all the introduce of our work. Thanks for your listening, and thanks for your coming the section in totally earlier. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the interesting talk. I was moving my feet around to practice the gestures while you were giving your presentation. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. It was an interesting study. My question is regarding the study design. How many trials each condition was, like each participant had to do? How many trials? How many trials?
Sorry, the
How many trials each participants had to do? How many
How many trials? The
How many
experiment?
times did
trials?
The how many trials did we? Yeah.
thank you. In my memory, maybe in each direction, people need to conduct 8 trials.
Into the mic.
It needed to conduct 8 trials.
8 trials each direction?
Yeah, 8 in
Okay.
each direction.
And you did listed in the workload, fatigue, and other parameters. Can you elaborate on the fatigue aspect of the trials? How did the participant felt on the about the interaction? Like how fatigued they were? Did you find any significant effect on that?
In our study, we get some sound about the recommend of the direction. So they and the direction is randomly, so participate can listen in the guidance and conduct the performance. Once they start the start action, we will record the time, and until the confirmation, we will finish the recording.
Okay, and how did did you ask the participant through the, did you verbally ask or through the workload survey, did you find any fatigue? Fatigue as in were they tired of using the interaction?
Actually, we conduct an interview after the study, and people have different performance. But after our summarize, we found some people with driving experience, they will perform the right foot center techniques. But for some people without driving experiments, they will have different opinions. Some people perform asymmetric techniques, but another people maybe perform symmetric techniques. And also some people found the grid-based techniques is easy to understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you.
Any more questions? Maybe one. Oh, one back there.
Hello, thank you for the great presentation. I have just one question. I remember to measure the social accessibility. So I just wonder how did you measure social accessibility?
For the social acceptability, such as the current environment, maybe when you use our hands like teleportation, everybody will know your behaviors. But if we use our foot, it will be shadowed by the table. So people around you didn't see your behaviors. So it will be social ability.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just start this. Okay, so thank you all for being here today. So my name is Matthias Wölver, and this paper I'm about to present is co-authored by Daniel Zelasco. And as the name suggests, it concerns itself with the relationship between time and distance perception when using teleportation. And teleportation has many advantages. It, for example, is, or its movement is independent of physical boundaries. It reduces the risk of inducing, or there is a reduced risk of inducing cyber sickness, and it is a fast and efficient locomotion. However, what has been shown is that distance perception is limited when using teleportation, but this is not only a problem for teleportation, this is a common underestimation that is found in virtual environments. There's a common underestimation of about 27 to 29%, and this is problematic because it impairs the exploration of, for example, virtual museums or architecture. Reasons for this underestimation are numerous, and they are technical, compositional, human, or measurement-related factors that cause this. Now, what this paper is looking into, or what we asked ourselves, is if the instantaneous nature of teleportation does affect distance perception. And so, in this little graphic, we see that, or we see the idea of the paper that teleportation is usually instantaneous, and we can also delay teleportation in several phases. And we asked ourselves if such a delayed teleportation would increase the perceived distance that has been covered. And so we have two main research questions, which are: is there a positive impact of delayed teleportation on the perception of virtually traveled distances? And secondly, does a potential effect transfer to more ecologically valid scenarios? And to answer these research questions, we try to manipulate the temporal component during different phases of teleportation. And so to do that, we divided this into two studies. The first study concerns itself with the first research question and focuses on distance estimation and distance replication, and is an adapted task design by Kyle et al. For a more ecologically valid scenario, we choose the estimation of room sizes and do this in a second study. Now, there are some parameters that still have to be figured out, and so we decided to do a pre-study that figures out these parameters. And so the most important of all is how should teleportation be delayed. And so considering that we want virtual experience to be as transferable into the real world as possible, we choose to delay the teleportation by the speed of human walking. And to do that, we decided to have a virtual representative move the distance before the actual teleportation happens. And so we have this pre-research question: so which speed is perceived as equivalent to human walking speed when watching this representative walking in front of us? Secondly, and this is based on the picture you see to the right, as we tried to replicate the study by Kyle et al., we noticed that in such a sparsely equipped environment, teleportation can hardly be noticed. And so we tried to visualize teleportation and decided to use a fade to black animation, however asked ourselves how long such a animation should be. And so to stay in time, I just want to present the results. So the perceived exocentric walking speed was, or participants felt that it was, that it corresponded most to walking speed at 1.95 meters per second, and the preferred fade to black duration was, or the preference was at 0.3 seconds. So this was done in a pre-study with 9 participants, and you can see more details either in the paper itself or in the poster we published. And so with these parameters, we go on to the first main study, the distance estimation and replication study. And we want to establish or hypothesize about the relationship between time and distance perception. And so our first hypothesis is that a proportional delay of teleportation will increase the performance in distance estimation when compared to classical or instantaneous teleportation. Distance estimation performance is measured by accuracy, bias, and precision. A second second hypothesis is that a delay of teleportation will lead to a higher estimation of distance compared to a still proportional but faster delay. And a third hypothesis was that a rate-based target specification process during teleportation affects performance in distance estimation differently than a equally delayed direct or position-based target specification. And I think what this means, or this is a little more visual with the next slide, where I want to introduce the 4 locomotion methods that we used for our study. And so the first method would be the instant teleportation. You can see that this is the classic version where one, let's play it again, selects a target point, and then upon releasing the button, teleportation instantly happens. Here, this is also complemented with a fade to black transition. The second method is the walking speed method, and here teleportation is delayed proportionally with a speed of 1.95 meters. So we will see a virtual representative move from the position of the user to the selected target position. So I select the position, and then I see this representative move, and as soon as it arrives, I am teleported to that position. Thirdly, we have basically the same method, but with increased speed. And we see that just the representative moves a lot faster. And lastly, we have this rate-based method where the delay is introduced in the first phase, or the target specification phase of teleportation. And here we do not select the position, but we basically steer the avatar or the representative until it reaches a point that we are comfortable with and can release the button to mark this as the target point. And these were the 4 methods. And now coming to the user study, we did a study with 32 participants, 19 of which were male, 13 female. And we had users assign one of those teleportation methods. In the process of the experiment, they experienced all methods. This was within subject and Latin square balanced. They were briefly trained with the method to understand how it works, and then a estimation phase began in which they had to reach several intermediate target points and then reach a final target point. And as they reached the final target point, they had to estimate the distance they had traveled to that point. In the second phase, the repetition phase, they had to independently repeat the just traveled distance, and so they could just move as far as they wanted and stop as soon as they believed to have traveled the same distance. On the right, we can see a picture of the environment in which this happened. And now coming to the key findings of this study, our first hypothesis, which I introduced, showed that the bias, there was a significantly reduced underestimation for the delayed teleportation method. So with the instant teleportation method, we had a underestimation of 27%, and with the delayed method, only 16.9%. The 27% of the instant method is also notable because it reflects or replicates exactly what previous research has shown. And however, what we noticed in the measures of accuracy and precision is that they did not improve, however, also did not show adverse effects. And so given that we had this basically on the same level accuracy and precision, but a significantly increased bias, we concluded that the delayed teleportation method actually improved the distance perception. For hypothesis 2 and 3, however, we did not find any changes compared to the instant method or to the respective counterpart, and so we could not confirm those. So this far for the first study. And then we have the second study where we had this hypothesis that a proportional delay would increase performance in room size estimation. And with this study, users were again assigned one of the teleportation methods, then had to explore a room combination, and then had to estimate the square meter size of that room size estimation. This was the same sample as in the previous study. And for hypothesis 4, we did again not see any significant differences in the estimation abilities. So given these two studies, we asked ourselves, so when should you add a delay to teleportation? And a little philosophical, so when the journey matters but not the destination. So our results were not really that defining that we were able to conclude concrete design guidelines, but virtual hiking or exploration experience are, for example, examples. Limitations in future work. So we did not account for individual walking speeds. We had this fixed speed of 1.95 meters per second. And for the pre-study, we did not allow for a preferred duration of 0 seconds for the fade to black. And lastly, our future work should limit the applicability of counting strategies, because this was a problem that participants mentioned when talking about strategies they used. So to conclude, in our pre-study, we determined a preferred fade to black duration and also the perceived exocentric walking speed. And in our main study, we found that underestimation could be reduced from 27 to 16.9% with the delayed teleportation method, but we're unable to describe a more detailed relationship and generalize these findings in the application scenario. We were, however, able to replicate findings of existing literature, and this concludes the paper. So I thank you for listening, and feel free to check out the full paper for more information. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I especially like the condition where you have an avatar walk and go. So that's a good, I like that condition. So I have a question regarding your study design. So you said that in your first study, you all the conditions were applied within subjects, and in your result you found a reduction in the underestimation. So what's the possibility, what's the chances of carry over effect due to the within subject condition, and the chances of getting that reduction in the underestimation because of the conditions being applied within subjects?
So first of all, we tried to account for carryover effects with balancing, of course, the method order with like the usual Latin square order.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be possible as you become more familiar with the method and methods are similar, that there might be a learning effect or carryover effect. But I believe that distance, or the distance perception, since it is this cognitive process, there is, I would assume that there is no real carryover effect. But I haven't thought too much about it, so that's maybe interesting to think about.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer.
One more quick question.
Well, I've got very quick comment, so maybe you don't have to count it. It's just you used the term ecological validity. It's really incorrect. I really encourage you to look a little bit about it. It shouldn't be used.
Okay.
Question over here.
Nice talk. I was curious, instead of the animation of the avatar moving towards the destination, what if you actually just faded to black and stayed black for the duration and then went back up?
This would be an interesting condition, and I thought about this too. We decided to use these because because they were more comparable, since we had this avatar in all conditions. But it would be interesting to maybe have all conditions be just this fade to black, although it would probably be less interesting to apply this in an actual scenario. So I think this might be interesting to actually implement in a real scenario, but it would be interesting, yeah.
Okay, let's thank our speaker.
Hello. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Yijun Li from Tsinghua University. It's a great honor to give the presentation here. Today, I'll introduce our paper, Safe Teleport, Potential Field Guided Teleportation for Personal Space Protection in Social VR. Teleportation is one of the most common locomotion techniques in virtual reality. It allows users to quickly move from one location to another by simply pointing and pressing the controller trigger. However, in multi-user virtual environments, conventional ray-pointing teleportation can make users suddenly appear next to others. This not only invades others' personal space, but also make others feel socially uncomfortable. Some related work has explored how to protect personal space in social VR. The left one proposed the personal space bubbles, which create a virtual boundary around each avatar. When someone steps into the bubble, the boundary color changes from translucent white to red, showing that personal space has been invaded. But this method only reacts after the intrusion has already happened. The right one proposed negotiated teleportation. This approach allows the host user to select specific areas. This does prevent intrusion effectively, but it requires extra manual steps and a negotiation process, which can disrupt the natural flow of social interaction. This brings a key challenge: how to prevent abrupt intrusions while maintaining teleportation efficiency. Conventional teleportation often causes sudden intrusions that make others uncomfortable. On the other hand, gradual movement allows for smoother social adjustments, giving users time to notice and react. To address this, we propose potential field guided teleportation, which uses a dynamic potential field to adjust where the user teleports based on how close they are to others. It encourages gentle redirection and discourages abrupt intrusions into personal space. Before diving into our method details, let me briefly explain the concept of proxemics. Our framework builds on Hall's proxemics theory, which defines 4 distance zones around each user. In the intimate zone, teleportation is strictly prohibited to prevent discomfort. In the personal and social zones, where social boundaries matter most, the potential field gently guides teleportation targets away from these areas. In the public zone, teleportation is unconstrained, since proximity at this distance rarely causes discomfort. We use these zones to set teleportation constraints through a potential field model, where each user is surrounded by an inverse distance potential energy field. The closer a user tries to teleport to someone else, the higher the associated energy cost. We also define restricted regions where the energy cost exceeds a certain threshold, and teleportation into these regions is disallowed. Importantly, this field is asymmetric. Moving toward others costs energy, but moving away is free. This encourages gradual approach while preserving locomotion flexibility. Based on this potential field model, we developed two specific teleportation methods and that offer different trade-offs. For the direction clipping teleportation, it prioritizes preserving the user's intended direction, while boundary snapping teleportation minimizes how far the target is from the user's original choice. The direction clipping teleportation. For the direction clipping teleportation, if the target falls into a restricted region, the method will clip the array to the nearest valid position on the boundary of that region. This preserves the user's intended direction while preventing sudden intrusions into others' personal space. In contrast, boundary snapping teleportation prioritizes proximity to the user's intended target. It snaps the target to the closest valid position on the restricted region's boundary, allowing movement that remains both precise and safe. Before our main experiment, we conducted a preliminary study to determine the appropriate energy budget. We had 20 participants and they completed 2 tasks. In the first task, they actively approached a simulated user and experienced the potential field's constraints. In the second task, they remained stationary while the simulated user approached them. We tested 5 energy budget levels ranging from very restrictive to very permissive. The results show that an energy budget of 0.5 consistently achieved the best balance. Lower values were overly restrictive and while high values provided inadequate personal space protection. For our main evaluation, we conducted a comparative study with 24 participants. Each participant completed 2 tasks, a guided tour task in a virtual museum and a target search task in a virtual office. Both scenes included simulated users exhibiting realistic social behaviors. We compared 4 techniques: conventional teleportation as the baseline, negotiated teleportation as the state-of-the-art method, and our 2 methods, direction clipping teleportation and boundary snapping teleportation. In the guided tour task, participants followed a predefined route through the virtual museum. They visited exhibits and maintained comfortable distances from the simulated users. This task mainly tested how effectively each method helped users stay away of others and coordinate their movements during continuous navigation. In the target search task, participants needed to find a specific user somewhere in the office. This task required frequent direction changes, quick reactions, and careful distance management in a denser environment. It tested how each teleportation method handles dynamic movement and intrusion avoidance in real time. Results show that both our direction clipping teleportation and boundary snapping teleportation preserve the task efficiency while offering significantly stronger personal space protection than conventional teleportation. They also reduce the user anxiety during teleportation, suggest that potential field guidance supports both smooth navigation and psychological comfort. Besides, both our direction clipping teleportation and boundary snapping teleportation were rated just as easy to use as conventional teleportation. Compared to negotiated teleportation, our methods achieved similar levels of protection while maintaining significantly higher efficiency and requiring no extra manual steps. enabling more natural and continuous interaction. Among all 4 techniques, participants most preferred boundary snap teleportation, as it provided the best overall balance between efficiency, comfort, and usability, making it the most practical solution for social VR environments. Finally, let me summarize the limitations and outline possible directions for future work. First, our studies relied on simulated users for consistency, which may not fully capture real users' social interactions. Second, we tested all methods in simplified social tasks, but in real social VR applications, users collaborate and take on diverse roles, which requires further investigation of how our approach performs in more complex and dynamic settings. Third, our potential field model used fixed parameter values and assumed that all avatars were humanoid with similar body sizes. In fact, avatars can differ wildly in size and form. Some may be much larger, smaller, or even non-humanoid. And these differences could significantly affect how personal space is perceived. In future work, multi-user studies with real participants in more natural VR environments could be conducted to better capture authentic social behaviors. It could also explore adaptive methods that automatically adjust to scene semantics and avatar diversity. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening. I'm glad to answer any questions or hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I will start us off with one. I'm curious, apart from the personal distance from somebody, are there other factors such as the task or other things in the environment that would make the, or that could be taken into account to further optimize the place that somebody teleports to?
Yes, in our studies, we actually make the effects from 0 to 50 meters. But for example, if I teleport from very far to you, each step, the distance will be shorter and shorter when we get closer to you. Yes.
I see. So it's a gradual.
Yeah, that's a kind of
refinement.
graduate teleportation method, I think.
Okay.
And I think that's the first time to combine the potential field energy model with the teleportation technique. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Question back there.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I have a question. Did the agents have also the capability to move around the environment, or was it just the user?
Excuse me, can you speak louder? Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
sorry. Were the agents in the environment, the other, like the NPCs in the environment, were they also able to move, or was this only the agent, the user?
I'm sorry. Can you say it again? Sorry.
I think she's asking the in the experiment, people were teleporting near avatars in the environment. Did those avatars move around or interact with the user?
Maybe you are asking the behaviors of the simulated user.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I understand. And from our designs for the experiments, most avatars, scripted avatars, are idle and they won't move. They just keep the same positions. and some, just a few, will aggressively try to enter your personal space. Yeah, for example, let's see these videos. Yeah, most of the avatars like her will keep the same positions, and just a few avatars, scripted avatars, will try to enter your personal space, just like this gentleman, and a few avatars, just like this lady, will, yeah, they just walk along the predefined paths, or just walk along the corridors. Yeah.
Did you analyze anything about how the user feel when the agents get close to them, to their private space?
Oh, Mark, can you explain?
I think she's asking, did you analyze anything about how the users felt when an avatar entered their personal space?
Oh yes, we do have after experiment interview, and to gather users' opinion about, yeah, to gather their opinions, and most of them feel that the conventional teleportation didn't provide enough, yeah, protection, and for negotiated teleportation and two of our methods, they can provide enough protection of personal space. But most may think negotiated teleportation can provide more protection, because there is a negotiation process. But the other two, the person can still get closer to you without your permission. But this model can restrict how they get close to you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That is all we have time for. And that concludes our session. Thank you to all the presenters, and thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your conference.